Ticking for former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. In the last few hours, a judge declared that Bannon must report to prison in the next 25 days. That puts us at July 1st. It's to serve his 4-month prison sentence on his contempt of Congress conviction. Bannon failed to provide documents and testimony to the House Select Committee that investigated January 6th.
As you know, the judge today issued a surrender date of July 1st in order to let us appeal to a higher court, meaning the full Court of Appeals in D.C. and or the United States Supreme Court. As I said in the courtroom, this is an issue that legal scholars have said from day one is a case that has to go before the United States Supreme Court.
Well, that order coming from a federal judge here in D.C., WSC9 investigative journalist. Of course, Jordan Fisher joining us right now. You were in court today. Can you kind of lay out for us kind of what the issue here is and why exactly Bannon now has to go to jail?
Right, so Steve Bannon was convicted all the way back in July 2022 of failing to comply with this subpoena from the January 6th committee. They were seeking information from him on a number of topics, including what happened at the Willard Hotel, which was the command center for the effort to get Congress to reject these ballots. As you may recall, that was the central focus of January 6th. So he's convicted in July 2022. He's sentenced in October 2022, but the judge stays that sentence while he appeals. He went to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and a 3-judge panel ultimately in last month rejected him and said, I'm sorry, in March actually, rejected him and said that there was no merit to his appeal. They didn't agree with any of his arguments. The DOJ then came back and asked the judge to send him to the Bureau of Prisons to begin that sentence.
So do we have any sense how likely he is to get either of those hearings?
Right, so what we just heard David Schoen said, and that's Steve Bannon's attorney who also represented former President Trump during his second impeachment, is that they have 2 venues here. One is a rehearing before the full D.C. Circuit, that's called an en banc hearing, and also they could ask the Supreme Court. Now on that first one, very rare, it is specific verbiage of that kind of hearing is that it is not favored. And when you see a unanimous panel decision like what Steve Bannon got, again, extremely rare. Now, a lot of people would like the Supreme Court to hear their case as well. The Supreme Court agrees to hear about 2% of the petitions that they receive every year. So just right there, very unlikely. And now we can add another former Trump White House advisor, Peter Navarro, who is currently serving his prison term for defying the same subpoena, asked the Supreme Court to stay his sentence earlier this year. They declined. That could be an indication of how they view these cases.
Well, this case isn't the only trouble that Bannon is facing right now. So what else is next for him?
Well, in addition to beginning his prison sentence on this case in July, Steve Bannon is set right now to begin trial in September in a separate case in New York before the same judge that just oversaw Trump's criminal trial there on business fraud. Bannon is accused of defrauding Trump supporters who intended to donate to a organization that he said, and his co-defendants in that case said, would help build the southern border wall that Trump had promised. The government says, or the government of New York State says that Bannon defrauded those investors of millions and millions of dollars, and he should serve additional prison time for it.
So July 1st is his due date to head to court. Thank you so much for your insight. I know a lot of information coming into court. We've been kind of monitoring. We're so glad that you're in the courtroom making sense of it all. Thanks, Jordan.